Riot has nerfed the Judge not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 different times. And it's still a problem. They all are. In this match between Zeta Division and Nongshim Red Force, there were a total of 20 shotgun kills in 22 rounds. Riot needs to do something. Wait, hold on. We don't see shotguns that often. Are they map specific? Are these two teams just bad? Neither. Tier 1 pros haven't realized how nuts these guns are. But today, they're going to find out. Because in this video, I'm exposing to the world just how overpowering shotguns can be and why they should be removed from Valorant forever. Something else that Valorant players don't realize is that their default browsers are causing frame drops and stutters. But Opera GX doesn't. Why do you think your favorite pros have this thing? Not only does Opera GX boost your overall performance, but you can mix and match your favorite mods and features to create a one-of-a-kind experience. I've downloaded a couple Valorant themes and some calming rain background noise for when I'm scripting, and I'm already in love with this browser. Just look at all the different features that they offer. Also, back to performance, GX Control lets you limit how much CPU and RAM Opera GX is allowed to use, so you can avoid lag and FPS drops while keeping your favorite tabs or streams running in the background. But best of all, Opera GX now brings ChatGPT right to your fingertips. With a quick sidebar access, ChatGPT is literally right there for you to ask anything. Summarize agent guides, come up with content ideas, or maybe tips for the new map that's coming out. Save yourself time and boost your productivity just by using ChatGPT. So what are you waiting for? You have all this customizability, you can save yourself some FPS, have access to AI, and it's all free. All you have to do is click my link down in the description. As soon as Pistol Round was decided, both teams whipped out some fun toys. Danby forced up a Bucky in half armor, while Depp bought a Judge. But Teets, isn't that going to ruin Danby's economy? What if Nongshim lose? That's actually a valid concern. You're growing, Jimmy. See, as much as I love being dramatic about shotguns being broken, they're really only busted on close-quartered maps like Split or Bind. On other maps, they're just pretty good. But shotguns are so strong on Split that even if Danby's force loses, he can just force a Judge full armor next round, which on these maps is basically a close-ranged, rapid-fire op. Then, when paired with a good initiator, and on maps that I mentioned, duelists like Raze and Neon can just be dedicated shotgun players throughout an entire half, and it isn't troll. Don't believe me? Well, throughout this game, you're about to witness these guns wreak havoc on every part of the map. Watch this. On the anti-eco, Zeta's plan was to lock down mid behind this hard-to-snip trip, a smoke, and Depp's Judge. The offense thought they could plow through this setup behind a Haunt Prevents and Prowler into Mail.
For Zeta now, like the disc was talking about. Oh, here we go.
Okay, well, now we trying to put that Bucky to use, but does get shut down. Depp able to find a second,
But the Judge was too strong. Then these two attackers wandered into B main, died to this one way, leaving KO by himself, and after he tried finding some damage or a kill, Raze did this.
Pushing forward, knows that stun's gone through, and will blast pack in.
Now that brings us to Nongshim's first full buy. If they lose this, they eco next, and Zeta's economy has the potential to snowball out of control. So to guarantee a round win, Danby is zooming up ramp in their 3-2, while the defense is actually ready to counter a ramp take in their 3-2. The round opens up with Cypher's cam clearing close. A 0 point for ramp, Danby zooms in, but trade stuns with CLZ. From Mayo, Breach was in position to fault line this lane in case of a quick ramp default, and has stopped Danby's momentum. But Sugar Zero feels like he's done enough damage and backs off. Now Nongshim, they want Neon and ramp, so Francis lobs a flash from spawn for Danby to repeak, inserting him into vents, but CLZ dies? Why? There's no need to reposition into Mayo without any cover, especially after Raze's boombot just got shot. She can't even peek with you. She has a Judge. But with that kill, Ivy tosses his Haunt into vents, and Nongshim have successfully pinched that part of the map. Now what's their plan? Wait a bit. The defense are down a player and need to make a play or risk just getting traded out and losing. So Nongshim just hang out for about 20 seconds, and after realizing no one's gonna push, the offense groups up mid, Margaret and Persia back out to split B, but they're about to run into the strongest gun for this situation.
To get him out of that corner. So you're just gonna try to double swing it, but that's risky against a Judge.
Sees Flash fully blind up there for a brief little moment, but Depp's still able to go ahead and stabilize. Danby in half, playing off the earlier damage that had been found.
How much utility should you need to clear out this thing? The attackers burned a Prowler, Seize, Flash, a second Prowler, a Molly, which is probably the first thing they should have used with that Seize. But still, sure, Dammy was low, but this thing packs a punch. And now after seeing that shotgun, the offense are spooked and retreat to join their teammates in main. The judge can't hurt you from this range. Once ready, the offense charges in behind a 0 point for backside, Cage to cover the cross, Haunt for pillar, and the offense funnel in and plant. And now, yes, the judge can't hurt you from up here, but Deps picked up CLZ's rifle. That's the thing about the judge. It's a shotgun, not handcuffs. Go pick up another weapon once you're finished. The defense Prowler outspawn, group into heaven, and the retake begins.
Fade utility slip the paranoia. Could break through, actually. Maybe get this bonus to convert.
But clear on the Haunt, Depp. Bit of damage there through the corner. Francis able to spot out that drop. Spray through. That's going to be XCL able to find it. That kill there on to Margaret, taking him down, finishing off that second low HP member. Sugar Zero able to find one, but Ivy comes up with two, but Shota lines them up! One after the other in Zeta Division.
While yes, these collaterals were crazy, what won this retake for Zeta was this spam kill XDL got. When you're waiting for your teammates to group or fall out of heaven, why not dump some bullets into some spammable positions? This kill ruined Nongshim's crossfires. Then this smoke blocked off backside, the paranoia plowed a pillar, the bases were covered, and all Zeta had to do was hit their shots. On the following eco, all of Nongshim bought sheriffs, but Neon, she got a Bucky. Players usually buy these pistols because one nice shot can turn the tide of a round, but if you're as quick as Neon, so can this shotgun. Her plan was to sneak up mid, and at the first sign of life, fire her relay bolt and charge in with her Bucky. Persia smoked Mail, Danby creeped around jump up, and Herd breached jump spot.
Continuing to attack this B site here is Nongshim. You can see him, or at least one of the poking prod. The one way out, FP, Bucky in hand. Finds a kill.
Danby did fantastic to overwhelm Breach, and he retreated to a close quartered vents. But Depp wasn't letting him get the Phantom and followed in pursuit. If not handled the right way, these shotguns can single-pumpedly win or lose you rounds. But Zeta dealt with it well and then cleaned up the sheriffs. Then the shotguns went into hiding for a few rounds. I know I said that these shotguns are nuts and broken, but it can be good to switch things up. Because Danby's been running rampant with this thing, the defense are going to be more cautious playing around smokes or won't play as aggressive to keep their distance. And when the shorty exists, you still can get the best of both worlds. After this sick nasty entry on round 6, Danby ran down Sugar Zero next and let him know that he still needs to be careful. Big things come in this small package. But after only 2 rounds, Danby brought back his little friend, probably because he has his ult online. Judge close, ult far. What's their plan? It's the same as before. Neon wants to gun it up ramp and pinch fence with his team, who are moving up mid in their 3-2. But Breach isn't here to stop her this time. Zeta are focused on fighting for this B-orb with a couple agents real close to round-winning ults. The round opens with Neon sprinting through main, behind a cam for close, knife for ramp, and Danby makes it in. But Zeta quickly recognized what Nongshim are doing. This is the same ramp pinch as before. So Fade calls her teammates back from B, and they group into Mail.
Just shot that on the side, but still going to be taken down. Blues able to find one. Solid shot there off the Sheriff.
The offense have vents, but at what cost? And Neon hasn't really cleared it out. She has an unexpected visitor.
Ivy lurks his way forward and towards that vent. Spike now being pivoted. Cross through the sewer, and Shota able to find them on the second shot.
Okay, rewind. If you pause in these few frames as the round started, you can see that Cypher's cam is mounted high on this wall. This sees into the attacker's spawn, and it told Cypher that Neon was the only agent to go up ramp. So instead of fighting her head-on in heaven, he wrapped main and backstabbed her. I mean, who expects the defense to do this? But this kill is way worse than it seems. The judge has fallen into enemy hands, and the offense don't have a space maker anymore to break its crosshair placement. Nongshim need to tread carefully. Instant death could be around any corner. So now down a player, what's the offense's plan? Well, since they thought that Danby had ramp, they wanted to go A. So plan B is to have Ivy stick around in mid to create noise and drag attention from his teammates who are heading back through sewer. It makes sense. The defense just grouped and fought mid. A is probably weak. As the attackers get closer, Fade rips a Prowler, Astra places a star, breaks a satchel, and another Prowler, which baits over Breach and Omen's Paranoia. It seems like the attackers are in tower, but the defense just flashed them back, and there's a lot of time left, so they hold their ground.
Prowler. He has to know this is up here.
The judge finds another, and that's a rifle. The offense are now out of options and are forced to plant on A, while the rest of the defense are playing as safe as possible. Breach dodges Astra, Nongshim wants to group. Once they do, they first re-clear ramp, Boombot for main in case that's where Astra went, and Zeta are now surrounded.
Full approach from main. Persia sat behind Flowers. Margaret here behind the screen. Spots out depth, there's the swing. Sees the second, knows that he got some damage through. Now spots out the third, goes for the challenge, and Persia!
Breach! When were you going to swing? Yes, your job was to contain, but when your team takes contact, you gotta start hauling ass. Or were you three going too quick? Wait for your Breach and he'll tell you guys that he smoked off, then you guys wait for it to fade, he clears spawn and Flowers, and Omen, why were you so far behind? You could watch the smoke and follow your team at the same time. Literally any play would have worked here besides the one that they did. But because this smoke and trip were blocking spawn, the offense only had to worry about one choke at a time. And Persia looked like a hero. On the following round, Zeta had a nice mid-round re-clear after losing their Cypher on A. But before getting traded, Margaret noticed Sayuda's positioning. Interesting. Remember that. But the flash peek and then following Rolling Thunder rocked the offense, forcing them to drop the judge, which never got a chance, and they saved their rifles. This leads us to a Nongshim timeout. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spam shotguns. They're just so good. Yeah, tell that to the judge. Coming out of the timeout, Nongshim feel like they can force up alongside the two saved rifles from previous round and want to slam A. And the defense want to fight for B. Dep's 1 point off a showstopper, so getting this online should be the #1 priority. Round 10 starts fast, with Margaret's cam spotting Sayuda, Neon jumping around main, spotting nobody else. This means one thing. Cypher's alone backside.
It's for Nongshim. Force Zeta into a retake.
Nullified there, suppressed for the moment.
In that timeout, Nongshim talked about how for the past few rounds, Cypher's been playing in really passive positions to play off his strips. So instead of knifing close like Francis has been doing all game, he used the info from his Cypher's cam and Dambi's jump spotting to know where to fling it, and he stuck it deep on the pillar, suppressing Sayuda's whole setup. Then because he was an elbow, the Bucky's natural habitat, he got clobbered. But because Neon got here so quick, she decides to take spawn 2.
Loop's gonna be noted. There's the Prowler. Oh, it goes up over the top. They're not ready for this at all. Relay pull to try to hold them at bay.
This dude is nuts. The Bucky got 2.5 this round, and Fade tried to trade, but is forced to retreat after Deps popped his showstopper. Ivy responds by unleashing his Nightfall, putting Raze down to 1, meaning he has to pop his rocket at Cypher, who's miles away, or risk dying to 1 bullet. That whiffs, but where's Omen going?
TP forward, and Sugar Zero draws down fast enough to get rid of Ivy. The defuse being held, fragment. Ooh, thought about. Gravel comes through, but Clues pushing forward into heaven, does well to find Francis, interrupting. The defuse now being held, holding them back here. It's Clues, and that's the defuse coming through.
How did that work? Was Fade trying to bait Omen to stick it and just whiffed? Well, because Omen got to backside and cleared the rest of it, this allowed CLZ to rewrap heaven and prevent Francis from mauling the defuse. Slamming A worked so well that Nongshim are running it back behind another Dambi judge and Astra's Cosmic Divide blocking off ramp and heaven, preventing a flood. But this time, Margaret is flanking through mid extremely late. This again is the perfect play as the defense are focused on a fight for mid and maybe retake A with their Nightfall in a 1-3-1. The barriers fall and Neon hops across main, cam above, both spotting Breach. Persia wastes no time laying out his Cosmic Divide and placing stars. One for screens, another to disrupt a retake. But before Neon slides in, Ivy's Haunt clears sight, and Francis' knife only tags Breach in spawn. The earlier I'm assuming would be a trigger for Dambi to flip his wall up, because running in like this would be stupid. And now Breach remembers just how much of a lunatic Dambi is, and basically gives up all of screens, not wanting to get one pumped. The site belongs to the attackers. Their job is to now play passive, stall, and buy time for their Cypher to pull off a successful flank. But he's trapped behind Sayuda's wire. He has no choice but to snap it, alerting the defense. Margaret now has to attempt his backstab incredibly later, as defenders are now constantly looking back at vents, waiting for him to appear. He makes his way inside, the defense turn towards ramps, but Nongshim knows they're coming. So from elbow, KO yells, "Gobi!"
Vents here. They cleared the trap wire.
That's an instant headshot into the spray down. Ivy coming away with 1. Sees into the nade, and that's going to be Ivy absolutely screwed, but Persia makes his presence known. Swing out, CL doing well to find 1, and oh, Margaret asleep at the wheel for a brief little moment, but he wakes up and locks in. Finds 1, gets traded out. Now suddenly A 2v2. Slide forward. Tomby this time not allowing for Sugar Zero to find that value. As Haunt gets the reveal onto one, but XCL running out of bullets. Kites back.
Francis lobs a perfect flash for his A main players, followed by a perfect tether nade from the defense. Fade then ulted sight for Omen to come out, but then had to go trade Breach because of Margaret's perfectly timed lurk. But right before he got traded, Margaret activated his neural theft, allowing Neon to hone in on Elbow, bag a kill, jump spot for info, pick up the rifle from his kill, and peek with his teammate. Both teams just went perfect play for perfect play, until the judge sealed the deal. It's the last round of the half, and both teams have new game plans to close it out. Francis is 1 point off his null command, so the offense are starting their focus on B in their 3 hold space lurk. And the defense wants to fight for main, but realize that in the past few rounds, Francis has been tossing a suppress deep on A and then slamming it. So he's spreading his trips, 1 for each site, while at the same time, XDL wants to post up on this lane so that Dep can go stack the rest of the map. Round 12 begins quietly. The offense pulls back a spooky star at the entrance, walk inside, and start poking. Ivy crouches to break a potential cam, KO knife sight for info, assuming Cypher's back there, but Sugar Zero breaks it. The offense starts spamming sight. Sugar Zero fake teleports to make it sound like he got out, but he doesn't want to break up this crossfire with Cypher. The choke eventually gets smoked, but with all of this attention being dragged to B, Cypher begins his lurk A and exchanges fire with Fade. She tethers him, takes fatal shots, tries to jump over the cage and spot him, and feels like she's done enough. XDL backs off because B is now quiet. The attackers could be on their way back, and they are. But to distract the defense, Ivy showing himself to Dep, who's haunting mid, Persia smokes Mail, pulls back Fence, and Ivy prowlers too, but Damby's ready to go.
I mean, he has him dead to rights, but
Should have had him on the initial spray, but alright, does well to make up for it, finds Damby in that mid slide, tries to readjust.
Okay, I know Split's a close quarters map, but you still need utility to set up a push like this from a judge. KO still has both his flashes up his ass. One solid lob might have blinded XDL. But regardless, KO got the entry, and Dep didn't expect Margaret to be behind his Neon so quickly, leaving us in a tough 4 versus 3. With Dep down, Heaven is now compromised. So as CLZ heads into screens, Sayota takes his time clearing Heaven with a spy cam and a Vandal. The defense desperately need to find the equalizer somewhere. CLZ kabooms hell, no one's there, fault lines elbow, but that's cancelled by a Nova Pulse and KO Molly. Persia places another star, Gravity Wells, which stuffs Sugar Zero's paranoia. But both teams are trading blows, but Zeta are being shut out of this retake. Without any pressure coming from Heaven or main, these site players can just go util for util until the defense are forced to run into crossfire.
Slowing him up here, TP forward, Sugar Zero. Not necessarily registering. A potential flank is, there's the swoop out, the readjust.
It's now the second half, and I don't want to see any more brain dead pushes like we saw last round. Got it, Neon? Nongshim won the pistol, and their plan is to get Danby posted on this line, who can play in an aggressive position and get out kind of alright with this fast lane. Cypher and Fade are fighting mid with this smoke and hard to snap wire, and Astra is bunkering down B. Now, despite losing pistol, Dep's forcing half armor and a Bucky, similarly to how Danby did in the first half. If it doesn't work out, he just buys a judge next round. Their plan is to launch Raisin events. Breach is in prime position to stun the line, and she's going. But can Breach do that with Neon flying at him?
hello.
I mean, he's gotta go for it.
Dude, why? The judge is a close-ranged weapon. Close. Meaning a short distance away or apart in space or time. These pushes are just stupid. At least use your stun to close the distance, right? Or just don't make the push at all. Well, now Francis needs to clean up his mess.
And he's gotta pay the iron price. Judge on the ground, not really recoverable. Fragment out, and what?
He tried his best, but Sayota hit some nice shots with his classic. And now, the defense are forced to spread themselves thin to one person per lane. All the offense has to do is group, and they have a decent shot at winning a round that should have been a layup for the defense. On the bright side, the offense never picked up the Guardian or Judge, and the defense have long-range weapons to contest the pistols and Bucky. Unlucky for Zeta, they're headed right for the Marshal, but why is it playing so far up? Especially when we have all this Cypher util.
On Deb. Can they clear the angle? Well, yep, bit of a blind peek in this way.
So Zeta's plan was for Faye to lead the charge with their sheriff, which would help Breach accurately aim his stun, so Raze could pounce off of them. But Astra, in case you didn't know, you usually play behind the trips. Sure, she would have gotten satcheled on, but by playing back and behind these wires, she probably would have gotten out. Instead, it's a rough 2 versus 3, and the defense are flooding out as soon as Zeta go for the plant.
Haunt out reveal. They've got the ping there, and Ivy Swings out a little bit wider. Sugar Zero going to be taken down.
Spike
Blues now
planted.
up close, mowed down. Depp
Last
finds
player
another with the
standing.
Bucky. 24 HP versus Ivy at 125.
Bring them
The
down.
Prowler to try to check. Depp creeps up behind the box. And Ivy seemingly has no idea in hell. The Prowler to check it. Seizes over the top. The push coming in, and okay. Finds the shot, but by narrow.
On Nongshim's following half-buy, Neon went for a more supported play and tossed Cypher the Bucky privileges to play around in mid, but he didn't find anything. Now, class, who can tell me what's better than one shotgun?
A Vandal!
Loaded.
An op would be pretty good.
Nope, two judges. Nongshim believe that this gun is so potent and hard to deal with on attack that they bust out another. In their 1-2-2, Cypher is running around his cage in double trips, Neon slithering around any mid smokes, and while on A, Astra is going to hold these two lanes so her teammates can stack the rest of the map. The round starts with the attacker smoking male, flashing and boom-botting down mid, and the defense are just patient. KO rotates because of this mid noise, but Ivy prowlers in response, and it doesn't get contested. Weird. And Cypher's cam hasn't spotted or heard anything yet. This could mean that the offense are coming back to A. So Astra falls back, KO comes back, he saved his knife, flings it, and suppresses 4. At the start of the round, the offense hung back to dodge this thing, as Francis has flung it immediately to start the first 2 rounds. But here, it never came. So the attackers thought they were safe. Wrong. That's why it's so important that you swap up your utility timings and stay unpredictable. But Zeta are quick on their feet. Their goal to go A just got revealed, so their plan B is to show a ramp default and go back to B. Omen smokes the cross, Fade haunts ramp. To the defense, it feels like attackers could be here. They're pinging it. So KO drops back from elbow, and Fade falls to check even though she saw Raze in mid. This fake default has isolated 2 defenders on A. Perfect. Cypher cages vents, Sugar Zero smokes stairs, but they spot Danby jiggling, and he fires a warning shot.
Go, go, go.
Now you know.
Yeah, one confirmed. Now he sits with the relay bolt. Another jiggle peek in. Nade kind of nearby, so just dashing back. Like an absolute madman. Just sat here on the rope, waiting to play peekaboo.
30 seconds left.
I have never seen movement like that. I can't even replicate it in an empty custom game. And just look at all the utility that this crackhead baited out. Depp unfortunately was ready and hit a nice shot, and the big scary judge was gone. But do you hear that? There's another.
Over the top, and Depp, well, he isn't done with these childish games. Does put him down, swings onto the corner and stairs, and Francis falls as well. Depp on a heater, but there's another judge. As Margaret surprises them all, jumps up, steals this kill away, takes out Shota.
And now, because Cypher never felt any pressure from B-Main, he repositioned his wire to cover the choke. This is why he was able to help out Heaven so easily. XDL eventually prowled in a second time, which went over the toe trip, and Margaret shot it with his judge. This had the attackers shaking in their boots, not wanting to touch this nebula. A shotgun, trap wire, no thanks. So they waited for their Heaven players to come pinch this guy, but instead, he repositioned to Hell and made the offense play an on-the-fly game of whack-a-mole. This judge single-handedly held this one half of Split, allowing the rest of the defense to come in and focus solely on this choke. On Zeta's following eco, Nongshim predicted that the offense would go B. Whether to farm an orb or hit the site, who knows. But Francis threw Persia a dot.
There, and then that judge can just make your life a living nightmare.
Flash in, there's the swing. Persia able to go ahead, mows down 1, gets the second, gets the third. Now just he in depth.
The setup was nice. A flash peek for B-Main, trip so that if the offense split, the defenders can isolate Rafters, and then Neon has a broken shotgun in A ready to play around this smoke. But that round leads us to a Zeta timeout, where I think they talked about how Neon has been so aggressive in the early round. So if they just wait and push her back or punish her, all the offense has to do is group up and slam a site with their ults. And now in Nongshim's timeout, they set up an interesting trap that I've never seen before. Because they destroyed the offense in B-Main last round, they're triple stacking A. KO in this trip should protect Cypher, who has his cam above the box that Neon's hiding behind. Off its contact, maybe Neon stunning and running it down? Who knows? No replay system, blah blah blah, you know the bit by now. The offense ended up splitting B, where Neon slid through Heaven, off her teammates contact on site, and bitch slapped Cypher. And now Zeta are forced to save. They're sheriffs across the board, but Depp's Bucky makes a return. Remember, this gun is dangerous. Last time we saw this buy, Race flew up vents, but this time, it's Heaven.
Although, you've got to find a way to break open. I mean, Depp's turn with the shotgun, okay.
Face your fear!
Raze needs help. She's pinned.
I don't realistically want to try to push him either, but okay, the shorty up over the top.
Zeta tried setting Depp up with a fault line for Male and Flash for Heaven, while the rest of their team, except for Cypher, ran it down B with their sheriffs. But Depp felt like that wasn't enough to charge right into Heaven. But I feel like he needed to. Even if he dies on Raptor, that info is important. And in this close fight, I'm taking the Bucky. But once pinned down, Depp called for his Breach's ult, and they used the Nightfall. 2 big ults on an eco? Depp just needed to be more confident and send it like Danby does. But I don't think Depp expected this shorty. Now, the offense are super screwed. They plant the spike, but Persia walls off backside, Ivy unleashes his Nightfall, and Margaret's Neural Theft might be a bit overkill. Remember everybody, it's an eco. Breach tries to stall spawn, but with his overdrive active, Danby doesn't care.
Disrespecting the aftershock now is Danby. As here comes the overdrive, turns his sights in towards backside, finds one, looks back in towards main, gets rid of XDL, choking out. That's one standing.
After 3 straight rounds of trying this A-trap, Zeta were finally going into it. Neon started the round here, jump spotted main, and said, "They never hit my sight, where? And then left literally as the offense were grouping up to go away. Cypher ate shit, the offense took the site, and Nongshim attempted a retake, and it could have worked had Neon not done this.
Getting immediately.
Like, just... Why not just go into elbow? A tight space. This dude belongs on Paper X. Then Zeta just ran it up ramp the one time out of the past 5 rounds Neon doesn't have this trap set up. Unlucky. The offense lose a couple members, turn towards site, and off Astra's death, Danby does this.
He's trying to fight their way through. XCL's gonna be good for 2 is Danby.
I told you. Paper X.
Ivy. Haunt at the ready. No prowlers to check close. Shots coming in and Margaret able to find the first and Ivy.
Nongshim are now 1 more round away from putting Zeta to bed. They recognize that the offense has to buy up and are going to be focused on grabbing this ult orb to get their rocket launcher. So the defense are set up in a 3 shotgun spam trip setup while the offense aren't going for the orb. Instead, they're slamming mid with their #1 win condition, the Bucky. The round begins, the defense wait a little, and double swing into main behind KO's flash. No one's there. The offense have instead moved into mid behind their mail smoke. Francis suppresses Heaven, both teams trade haunts, neither get a tag, so Breach puts his stun away. And after Omen teleports through, the offense confidently feel like they've taken mid. But the defense knows someone's in here. It's quiet on A, and Nongshim cleared B. So Danby wants to take a look, and calls for a mid-round re-clear.
Waiting in vent, judge in hand, rides up the rope. That's gonna be Depp taken down. Swing out, XCL desperately trying to recreate some of that heroics that we saw from him in the previous round, but he cannot make it happen. Ends up falling to the wayside as Danby finds one. Francis, however, picks up Sugar Zero, gets full flashes, all on clues. Tucks into the corner, goes to the reload, the shorty. Will it be his undoing in episode?
The judge rocks socks, and this match doesn't look any different from this shotgun video I covered before it was nerfed. Watch this video, the guns are basically the same.